Welcome to Airplay Escape. Unlock the full audiobook experience and exclusive perks by joining our Patreon community. Dive deeper into the stories you love. Just click the link in the description below, and thank you for supporting this journey. Football, Rising from Ruin to Conquer the Monster Player Era. Episode 41. Yuran's shot just now was reaction. Everyone else gathered and was a little surprised. Not only is it a new shot, but because the skill of the powerful shooter has been upgraded, the power of the shot just now has also increased, because the speed of this shot is fast and it visually feels like it is more powerful than the previous shot. Because of the power shot, the power is strong, but the rate of fire, as long as the well-trained player can still see the ball, the rate of fire is not fast. The power can only feel the power when it is in contact, but this shot is not so powerful, but it is visually difficult to keep up. Oh, just learned new shots, Li said leisurely. It looks calm. However, the other teammates around were speechless for a while. Most of the main selections were almost in the 3rd grade, and one shot could not be regarded as completely mastered, but Li Youran was only in the 2nd grade and he had already mastered 2 shots. And not simply that feeling of greed, this shot feels like 1,000 hammers, otherwise it is impossible to kick this power except for genius. They can't think of any words to describe it, but Li Youran himself was not satisfied and he did not plan to refine this shot. He practiced this shot simply to try a high-speed shot and then try to combine speed and power, which is a double insurance if there is no more powerful shooting skill task before the start of the rookie league. He must try to develop a new shot himself. Sanshan, at this time, the voices of others also sounded at the same time. Everyone. Early Sansuji Chen actually just arrived, and when he saw that Li Youran was about to shoot, he looked at the side for a while and was a little surprised when he saw Li Yuran's new shot, and at the same time he was keenly aware that Li Yuran's shooting power had increased again. Early, Yuranjan, was the shot just now a sonic shot? Jun Sansuji looked at Li Youran and asked, "Huh? Right, how do you know?" Li Youran listened a little surprised. This was taught to him by Katajiri sect last night. He didn't know how could Jun Masugi recognize it, and the impression of the anime Katajiri Samesa didn't seem to show his skills. I have collected information on many professional players in the island country, and this trick is Mr. Katajiri's proud shot when playing professionally, and many professional players will learn this trick later. Jun Masugi is a tactical player and a delicate person who carefully analyzes the opponent's strength and technical characteristics before the game, so it is inevitable to collect information, and when he began to learn football, he also collected a lot of information about professional players hoping to learn their skills. Mr. Katajiri taught it to me yesterday when he came to my house. Yesterday? At night? Li Youran said this, which made everyone stunned, and even some team members held footballs, and after listening to Li Yuran's words, the football in their hands fell to the ground. Last night, that is just one night, he had already learned the shot? And just now, he directly kicked out such a strong force. Such a talent really shocked everyone, not to mention them. Even Jun Masugi was equally shocked. One night? It's really amazing. I'm afraid even Xiaoyi may not be able to do it. Yes, it will definitely be possible this time. There is a chance to defeat Nange. Jun Masugi's heart is more eager to win than the other members because of his heart disease. His sports career does not know when it will end. He does not want to leave regrets, and his goal now is to win over Nange before his body can hold it. Yuran-kun, are you going to change your shooting style? Putting away the thoughts in his heart, Jun Masugi asked. Li Yuran's shot is very powerful, and now he suddenly uses a sonic shot, which makes Jun Masugi a little curious, to be honest. Such a strong downset power, if you don't use a power type shot, it is indeed a bit wasteful. No, I just want to understand the style of speed type shooting. I want to maximize the power and rate of fire as much as possible. Li Youran shook his head slightly. Whether it was a power shot or a sonic shot was not his ultimate goal. He still intends to take the power route. Is that so? Jun Masugi pinched his chin after hearing this, as if thinking about something. The morning training ended quickly. After all classes will soon be held, Li leisurely rested for a while, went to the dressing room to take a shower, changed clothes, and then went to class. The time of the class is still as boring and ordinary as ever. After staying up until the end of class, Li Youran took out the football from his locker and walked downstairs while flipping the ball, and when he first came downstairs, he saw Jun Masugi standing not far away, looking as if he was waiting for him. Looking for me? I just got someone to bring it. This is my shooting video. I hope it helps you. After hearing this, Jun Sansuji took out a USB flash drive from his pocket. When Jun Masugi practiced by himself, he would also record his shots on video to study his shots. Looking for room for improvement, he finally completed the current spinning shot. Although Li Youran did not know what level of their shots were with Big Air Wing and Hinata, but Li Youran thought that Jun Masugi was also a genius level player. Even in middle school, if it weren't for the heart attack, Okutsubasa and Hinata might not be opponents, and the level of shooting should not be much worse, and if you can learn some experience from his shot, it will also help yourself, and there is no pretentiousness. Thank you. Li Youran calmly accepted the USB drive. You're welcome, let's work together. For Jun Masugi, whether Li Youran is his own or learns his shots, it is a good thing for the team. He is the captain and naturally hopes that the team will get better and better. Other players have seen his shooting more than once. If they can learn it, they should have learned it long ago, and he will not hesitate to teach him. But obviously other players do not have such talent as Li Youran. But if it is Li Youran, he thinks Li Youran can do it. Episode 42. After the end of the day's course day as usual for internal practice, the attributes of team cooperation have been rapidly improved under this period of cooperation practice, and have reached level 2 according to the current training speed. Before the start of the competition, you should be able to reach the passing line. After the training, Li Youran returned home after eating. He began to study Jun Sanchen's shot. It was not the first time to see Jun Sansuji shot. Generally speaking, there is no real experience on the video that shock, but from the video Li Youran still can't help but admire. Jun Masugi is worthy of being a person who even has to praise himself in terms of talent, and the spinning shot is better than the power shot and the speed of sound shot. Whether it is power, rate of fire and skill, if you can learn it you can directly have a purple shot. You can improve your shooting ability in a short time. Li leisurely sat on the ground looking at the laptop in front of him. Jun Sansuji repeated the shooting action motionless. Li Tiannan and Li Jimei did not notice when they came. And seeing her son so serious, Li Jimei originally planned to speak but was stopped by Li Tiannan, and the husband and wife did not bother with tacit understanding. But Li Youran is now caught in a choice with his hands in his chest and his eyes closed. With countless shooting possibilities in mind, whether it is power or speed or skill, how can you create the perfect shot? Should you carry on your strength to the end, or should you use your skills to win like Masugi? At present, learning spinning shots is the fastest way to improve strength, but spinning shots not only rely on strength to shoot. At present, all their shooting ability is reflected in strength. If you practice spinning shots you must give up part of your strength. Spinning shots such as shooting focusing on skill too much force will cause the ball to lose stability. This kind of curveball shot lose stability may fly out of the goal. Nope, I should go my own way. They can do it. There's no reason I can't go your own way. Several figures flashed in his mind: Tsubasa Oko, Hinata Kojiro and Jun Masugi. They were all geniuses. But he already has more advantages than ordinary players, and there is no reason not to fight and implement his strength and speed to the end, which is the way he wants to go. With enough time, there must be a way to come up with a better shot than a spinning shot. Byte select task to start. Option 1. Come up with your own shots before the holidays, and practice 10W new shots before the holidays are over. Reward, exclusive shots. Option 2. Before the end of the holiday, practice spinning and shooting 3W times and the task is completed. Reward, purple skill spinning shot. Bonus 3. Before the end of the holiday, practice power shots or sonic shots 3W times and the task is completed. Rewards, power shot or sonic shot upgrade card. At this time, a voice suddenly sounded in his mind. Li Youran looked stunned, did not think that he had triggered the task earlier. 3 tasks, 3 choices. Li Youran only remembered at this time there is less than a week to go on vacation. Island middle school students generally have 3 vacations, each of which is about half a month or 2 weeks, during which they need to complete tasks in order to be rewarded. The second task is to learn to spin the shot. As long as you learn the spin shot and use it to kick 3W balls will naturally be proficient. The third is to practice the power shots you have or the speed of sound shots, which are also 3W balls. Once you complete it, you will be able to upgrade and complete one of the skills. Power shot is a blast shot. After the progression at that time, Li Youran had a skill upgrade card and did not upgrade the power shot because the upper limit of the skill is too low. He does not know the upgrade skill of the sonic shot, but the power of the sonic shot is too poor. If he chooses the speed of sound shot, it will conflict with what he just thought. What he wants is power and speed first, strength, and then speed is considered. It is to have power and then have speed. If you sacrifice power, there is no point. His eyes fell on the first choice, which was what he had just really thought, and to get out of his own way was undoubtedly a hellish challenge. Because it was a shot that I came up with, there was no basis for any other skills, so the number of exercises was greatly increased. 10W ball half a month, that is at least practice more than 6,600 balls every day to have a chance to complete the task. Don't think that shooting is easy, just kick the ball in and it's over. Don't talk about kicking football. Change to an ordinary person, just raise his legs 6,000 times a day, which is enough for him to get out of bed the next day, not to mention using the strength of the whole body to shoot. I'm afraid that in this world the system will give such a task. That's it, I choose the first task. But Li Youran still did not hesitate in the slightest and directly chose the first task, no matter what he had to fight. Even if the task failed, even if it is not as convenient as the second option and the mission fails, he is still sure that he will practice his spinning shot. But if you don't fight, you will look down on yourself. The simple quest is over, the hell quest is about to begin. Not only did you have to come up with new ways to shoot before the end of the holidays, in order to perfect during the holidays, you had to practice more than 6,000 shots a day and only half a month to complete 10W balls. This is several times more difficult than Sakuragi Hanamichi shooting a week to complete a 2W shot, but he must fight this one starting tomorrow. He can't just practice, he must find a way, change his shot, come up with a new shot. After taking over the task, Li Youran rested early. There were still 5 days before the holiday, and 3 days later from the beginning of the practice of shooting the first goal. To calculate the time, there was not much time left for himself. If you don't come up with a new shot in 3 days, the mission is likely to fail, so you have to hurry up as soon as possible. Episode 43. The next day after the course, Li Youran trained with the team members as usual, and in order to integrate Li Youran into the team in time, the inter-team competition in the past few days increased a lot. Because of such a special team as Musashi Kunichi Sansuji himself could not be present in the whole field because the team was too weak before he appeared, and now because of Li Youran's joining there is a player who can provoke the beam in his absence, and the situation is completely different from before. Now Jun Masugi hopes that in his absence Li Youran can single-handedly overwhelm the opponent with his offensive ability, make the opponent powerless in his absence, and then completely decide the victory after he is on the field. Therefore, the practice during this period of time also put a lot of effort into Li Youran's tactics, and Minoru Hama, Nobuji Sanada and others in the front court all strengthened passing practice during this time with only one purpose, that is to improve Li Youran's offensive efficiency in front of the court. Minoru Hama and Nobuji Sanada and others knew that Li Youran's shot was the best means for them to attack and score, so they also practiced unconditionally. Not only them, but Jun Masugi did not divide Li Youran with the substitute again during this time. Instead, he practiced in person. In most training matches, Jun Masugi will bring substitutes with Li Youran and also face all the starters opposite, one to hone the defense of the starters, and the other is to train his own cooperation with Li Youran. Everyone knows that the style of play in Musashi Country and the real strength of Musashi Country are all revealed in the second half, that is when Jun Masugi appears, but other players are somewhat unable to keep up with Jun Masugi's movements, but now Li Youran can. So if you want to give full play to the characteristics of the two, you must cultivate a tacit understanding. Jun Masugi has delicate footwork and technique, and his passing skills are second to none in the entire island nation. The only person who can compare with him in passing technique is Nange Golden Partner. Needless to say, the technique of the big air wing is naturally needless to say, and Masaki Taro is even more famous for his passing skills, and if his own ability is the best, it is undoubtedly passing, which is why when Matsura Taro is there, the big air wing can be like a tiger. Jun Masugi did not want them to be able to partner with Nange Jin after all his own situation was cleared, and it was very physically demanding to maintain a tacit rhythm and his body could not support it at all. However, if he can rely on the cooperation of the two to play a decisive cooperation at a critical time, he can still do it. So during this time Jun Sansuji deliberately arranged the same team as Li Youran. Yuran-kun. On the grass the players ran. Jun Masugi relied on his gorgeous skills to successfully break through the defense of the opposing players, and Li Youran also relied on his keen sense of attack to successfully throw off the defenders and come to an undefended position. Here it comes. I have to say that Jun Masugi's technique is indeed good, which is completely different from the previous situation with the substitute. Without him stopping the ball, the angle of the pass is just the most comfortable angle for him to shoot. This not only saves a lot of time but also allows you to go all out. Li Youran's big feet were raised high and Masugi Jun's expression changed slightly from a distance, and he obviously felt that Li Youran's posture had changed from usual. Not a power shot nor a sonic shot, secretly said in his heart. New shots? Gee, but when he raised his head, Li Youran lowered his head and gritted his teeth. The body suddenly paused slightly, although it was only for a moment, but Sanchan Jun's eyes could still clearly see that Li Youran's movements were unnatural, as if he understood something, and at this time the surrounding defenders had caught up. Li Youran didn't have time to think about it to barely get out of his feet. The instep kicked heavily on the football, and when the defender caught up, the football shot out vigorously like a cannonball, and goalkeeper Moriyama barely tried his best to save the ball. But in the end he still failed to catch the football, and Li Youran's side, the score, quickly took the lead. It's so powerful, it's worthy of being a leisurely. Jun, the captain's pass was as wonderful as ever. With Uranjan and the captain we will definitely achieve good results in this tryout. Yes, the captain and Uranjan have to cooperate better and better. Phew. Although the ball was scored, Li Youran stood in place looking at the football in the goal but was not satisfied. He has just tried a new shot. Naturally, based on the shot he currently has, he hopes to improve the power of power shooting and at the same time have the speed of the sonic shot, the shooting posture, or the posture of shooting with power, which is the posture that can accumulate the most power. In terms of footwork, there has been a change. In order to improve the speed, the footwork of sonic shooting is adopted, but the power shooting action is too hard and straight. It takes a period of time to accumulate, and the foot is also rough, and after changing the footwork the whole posture has become wrong. It is difficult for ordinary people to see it, but Li Youran himself can feel it, and a master like Jun Masugi can also see that he just took the ball and the strength is absolutely fine, but the speed has only increased a little. It's good to have an improvement, but there is a fatal problem, that is in this case, the shooting action is more unbalanced than the original power shot and the hard straight action is also greater. Don't say that this is the case. Even if it is the power shot itself, such a big action is hard and straight in the face of the world-class game of future masters. Such a big action is definitely an Achilles heel for such a little speed improvement. Exposing such a big risk, obviously not worth it. Uranjan, good entry. Jun Masugi saw that something was wrong with Li Youran's shot, but he didn't say anything, just encouraged the performance of the goal. Just shot. He knew that Li Youran had his own opinion and every talented player had his own pride. If you point fingers at him, you only deny the other party's strength and ability, which will make the other party feel uncomfortable. It is you who spread well. Li Youran was not discouraged, collected his mood and responded with a smile. The training match is here first, let's take a break. Episode 44. If you think about a new shooting move it's too late, and if you change the movement slightly the power will decrease, but if you don't change it the efficiency is not as good as power shots and sonic shots. Jun Sensuji announced his rest, and Li Youran sat alone on a bench on the sidelines with his head covered with a towel and his eyes slightly closed, and various attempts kept appearing in his mind but they were all denied one by one. He is a little anxious sometimes, he can't do anything too quickly, but he is not in a hurry now. He only has 3 days to be precise, there are only 2 days left and it will be too late to come. What has just been used on the pitch is completely wasted, there is no need to continue to develop. The action is hard and broken, although it is just a goal, but it is not a good shot when it is scored. Big action means slow shot, that is Moriyama Mion changed to a first-class goalkeeper. So slow action has long been from the action posture to the angle and strength of the shot, not to mention the goalkeeper. As long as it is a strong team those first-class defenders have long reacted. After finishing the practice, Li Youran ran home as usual, and when he returned home it was completely dark, and after dinner he rested for a while. Li Youran didn't have time to take a bath and directly changed into a jersey and came to the court at home. Bang bang bang. Phew phew, there was a constant sound in the stadium, which lasted for more than an hour before stopping, and then was replaced by a thick gasp. Why is it wrong to kick it? Li Youran's breath is slightly disordered. Generally speaking, his current physique will not be tired like this, but he is anxious in his heart, which affects his form, but the more anxious he is the more he feels weak. There was no mood to continue, simply sat on the grass, looked at the goal in front of him. It was reasonable to say that it was over just by kicking the ball into the goal in front of him, but how to kick was wrong, making his heart a little impatient. It's not that there is any penalty for not completing the task, the main problem is that if he does not complete the task, he has to learn to spin and shoot after all. The game is approaching, and it is indeed a bit ugly without a skill to take the shot. That also indirectly admits that he lost to these geniuses, and the system in hand is not as good as them. Then it is really similar to waste. Sighed unconsciously, couldn't think of it. No matter how to kick it is useless, kicking out is all distractions. What's wrong? It seems that you are in trouble? At this time a voice suddenly sounded behind him. Li Tiannan didn't know when he walked in and stood behind Li Youran. Dad still doesn't sleep? After taking a look at the time, it was already more than 10 o'clock. Rich people knew how to maintain health, and the money in their own family had not been spent for several lifetimes, and Lao Li naturally did not fight so hard. You don't sleep, do you? It's so late to practice, beware of being too excited to sleep. Li Tiannan is very satisfied with his son's current state. He used to only know how to study and his health is not good. He is really a little worried, and now I heard that he has also joined the school's football team. I can't sleep because I practice too much. Seeing this, Li Youran simply lay directly on the grass and looked at the sky. The night sky of this world is very beautiful, as if there is no pollution, and the stars in the sky are very charming. Do you want Dad, a long-standing mall visitor, to provide you with a little experience? Football is not a mall. That's not necessarily. Life is the same as the mall for you. Football is also a life. Li Tiannan smiled and sat down to look at his son and said, I want to come up with a shot of my own. Li Youran was silent for a moment when he heard the sound and finally said it. What's wrong? Shots don't work well now? Li Tiannan sounded a little surprised. In his opinion, now Li Youran's shooting is already very powerful. Even former professional player Katajiri Zhongxing is full of praise, and although he doesn't know much he can also see it. His son's shooting is already much stronger than some of the players trained by their group, so he is not satisfied. He used to be very introverted since he was injured and discharged from the hospital. He seems to have changed as a person and began to become, how to say it? Is it competitive or perfect? It's not that it's not easy to use, but it's definitely not enough to compete with real masters. You just joined the school football team and you know what a real master is? Dad, you're discriminating. Do you know the big air wing? Li Youran couldn't help but roll his eyes when he heard this, and then thought about it and said at the same time, I heard some time ago, I heard that he performed well in the national competition for middle school students. A rare talented player. He is a sports business. Li Tiannan is still more or less meritorious and concerned, and I heard that De Kong Yi is a talented middle school student worthy of vigorous training. He has just completed the triple hegemony of the island country, so it stands to reason that he should be regarded as the first middle school student in the island country, right? But our school has a player who is more talented than him. They all have their own skills, and I want to compete with them. Li Youran looked at the sky, but his tone was full of competitiveness. However, you have only been playing football for a long time, so there is no need to rush too much. Nope, these are not excuses. Li Youran shook his head slightly. No one else knows, but he knows that he has lived one more life. In other words, they have such an opportunity as him. I'm afraid it's the same. I don't understand things in football, but I know that if you want to make money in a short period of time, it is either a fluke or a crooked path. Li Youran paused slightly. He knew what his father meant. It was to persuade himself not to be too hasty, otherwise it would be easy to go on a crooked road. Carefully think about the state just now. It is indeed too impatient, different from usual. Got it. Then hurry up and take a shower and rest. Your mother is worried about you. Seeing this, Li Tiannan smiled and said, good. Li Youran listened, felt warm in his heart, did not insist on practicing again, and left the court with Li Tiannan. Episode 45. Under Li Tiannan's enlightenment, although Li Youran returned to the room and lay on the bed on the second floor after taking a bath, he still couldn't sleep, looked at the ceiling with his head on his hands, and constantly thought about the skills and details of shooting in his mind, thinking about whether he had made a mistake. My mind was full of many questions, I couldn't sleep at all, and then I didn't know how to fall asleep, and the next morning I woke up early with the habit of getting up early, and after breakfast I ran to school as usual, but I was still thinking about new shots on the way to school. A whole day of classes and team practice is also a little absent-minded, although Jun Sansuji saw it but still did not say anything. He believes that Li Youran can solve such a problem by himself, but Li Youran himself is very anxious in his heart because this day has passed, there is only one day left. After school, after the team's training, Li Youran did not let people pick up as usual but ran home by himself, but because he kept thinking about football in his head, he was not in the mood halfway through and stopped like he was walking. Walking on the road, I unknowingly came to a riverside course. This court looked a little deserted and unused, the goal was already very dilapidated and the nets were broken. Unconsciously walked over, slid down the lawn slope, came to the inside of the stadium only to remember that he did not bring a football side, slightly was not in the mood and did not want to go home, couldn't help but walk to the side of the court to get the stream. The stream is very shallow to the knee, trickling. Li leisurely sat on the grass casually and looked at the flowing water in front of him, but his mind was still full of football and he slowly came up with a god while thinking about things. He picked up stones to splash, maybe there was something in his heart, so the stone just wiped a few times on the surface of the water and fell. Whoops. At this time a stone next to it flew and floated several times along the water until it fell into the water in the middle of the stream, splashing slightly, and Li Youran paused slightly when he saw this. When he turned around he saw an elegant figure standing behind his back with his hands behind his back with a light smile on his face as if the warm sun melting an iceberg. Bosi-san? How did you end up here? Li Youran looked at her, and was also a little strange. How could she be here? When I went home, I happened to see Yuran-san. Sibo Shinshiwa smiled and brushed his hair and said. Li Youran paused slightly when she heard the sound, looked behind Sibo Shinshiwa and found that on the road above the slope, the car that took her to and from school was parked there, confirming her statement. Yuran's lack of concentration when practicing, is it something on your mind? Before Li Youran could say anything, Sibo Shinshiwa had already asked first. Did you just watch us practice? Yes, Sibo Shinshiwa was a little shy, but her face was still quiet. She didn't know anything about football, she just went to see Li Youran. Is it that obvious? Li Youran turned his head again to look at the stream. Because Youran students are very serious when they play football, you can see what is different at a glance, Sibo Shinshiwa said frankly. Although he said this, it was inevitable that he had been paying attention to him, but more than this, she wanted to know what Li Youran was worried about. Yes, so can you tell me if you have any troubles? Although I don't understand football. It's no secret, I want to think of a new shot. Yuran's classmate is already shooting so well, do you want to think of new shots? She doesn't know football, but she knows that Jun Sansuji is very strong, and in a short period of time, Li Youran is already a figure in school alongside Jun Sansuji, so she feels that Li Youran is already very powerful. Not enough, not enough. If you want to stand on the world stage, you are far from it. Li leisurely sat on the grass, leaned back slightly, and supported the grass with his hands to look at the sky. Phew, hearing Li Yuran's words, Sibo Shinshiwa paused slightly. She didn't expect Li Youran to be the same age as her, thinking about the whole world, looking at his slightly raised head as if looking at not the sky but the whole world, but unfortunately, she didn't understand football and didn't know how to help. Youran, let's play the competition. Suddenly looking at the pile of stones next to Li Youran, he quickly stepped forward and pulled Li Yuran's arm as if he didn't want to see him continue to be dull. Huh? I'll come first. After pulling Li Youran up, Li Youran was a little confused, but Sibo Shinshiwa didn't give Li Youran a chance to speak, directly picked up the stone and took a pose and then threw the stone directly towards the water. The stone flew out, hit 7 or 8 water and drifted into the water. Li Youran kept looking at her, usually looking dignified, elegant and even a little cold. Sibo Shinshiwa just now with the swing of the hair, there was a bit of a heroic and sassy feeling, making Li Youran a little dumbfounded. Yuran-san, it's your turn. Sibo Shinshiwa smiled, ruffled his messy hair and said. Good. Li Youran actually didn't have much mood just when he was himself, he was just throwing and playing by himself. Hearing Sibo Shinshiwa's words, he subconsciously raised his hand and threw it. In fact, this kind of game is better than girls for boys. But after he threw it out, he just hit 3 drifting stones and fell, making Li Youran a little speechless, seeing that Sibo Shinshiwa should be the child of a big family, and she usually behaves very politely. I didn't expect to be so watery. Leisurely classmate loses. Seeing this, Sibo Shinshiwa's crystal eyes showed a hint of cunning and playfulness. I may only have football and will not admit defeat, Li Youran said with a faint smile after hearing this. So you shouldn't be discouraged, I don't know football, and even throwing stones is just after watching a leisurely classmate throw me. Sibo Shinshua listened and suddenly said to Li Youran. Li Youran couldn't help but pause when he listened, watching himself throw behind him. Episode 46. Just look at yourself and throw it. Then it seems that this Sibo classmate is a genius who throws stones. It's a pity that there is no water rafting competition, but I can hear that she is encouraging herself and I am a little touched in my heart. Girls like me who are not good at sports, if they want to do it they can learn it, and I believe that I can do it if I am so good at football. Although throwing stones is not the same as playing football, I think it's all about getting something to the destination. The difference is that the pebbles are across the river and football is the goal. Sibo Shinshua said as he threw another stone in front of him. This time the stone flew farther on the water. Throwing stones should be better than me, but Youran classmates have pressure in their hearts, so they lost to me, huh? Li Youran listened to her words, and his pupils couldn't help moving, as if he had been awakened in an instant. Li Youran looked at the stone in his hand, slowly raised his hand to prepare to throw out the stone. The action suddenly stopped before they were throwing casually. Now the mood is slightly better. Focus on how to throw a good stone. In fact, to throw a good stone is very simple as long as you pay attention to the technique and strength. Grasp the angle. Can be. The shot should be fast, the strength must also follow immediately. The action should not be too big, otherwise it will fall directly into the water, or it will not fly far. Thinking of preparing to throw the stone out, but when he thought of this, Li Youran's mind was buzzing. Woo, shoot fast, the strength to keep up? The action can't be too big. Li Youran suddenly thought of football, and at this moment suddenly realized that in order to maintain strength he has always taken power shooting as the main body. But the power shot is too big in the shooting action, and the flaw is also large, which consumes more instantaneous explosive power even if the footwork of the sonic shot is added. It is also a weakness in the follow-up, and there is no way to make the ball produce too fast speed. So if you want to reduce the hard straightness and flaws of the action, the ball must be fast and the shooting action of the sonic shot stops very small. It is indeed much easier to shoot than power shots, and what he has always worried about is that he has always wanted to enhance the power of the shot, but the action of power shots is difficult to accumulate more power. But if it is a sonic shot it is different. The action of the sonic shot is fast, the physical strength consumed is also less. It is not easy to have flaws, and naturally there can be more power to shoot because the sonic shot itself pursues ball speed, so the power is very poor. But if you use the way of sonic shooting and then instill all the power, in this way, although the ball speed will be reduced, the strength may be unexpectedly improved. To put it simply, it used to be the action of power shooting plus the footwork of the sonic shot. Maybe now you can try the action of the sonic shot plus the footwork of the power shot. The action of the sonic speed shot is hard and straight, and the power used in the extra action can be used to kick the ball, and the footwork of the power shot is also to improve the shooting power, just like playing water, first to be fast and then when the power is played. This idea Li Youran believes is feasible. Li Youran thought about this. The movement stopped. Sibo Shinshua looked at Li Youran motionless with a little doubt, and when he was about to ask, Li Youran suddenly lowered his hand and threw away the stone on his hand. I thought about it, I finally thought of it, Mr. Sibo, you must be my goddess of luck, thank you. Throwing away the stone, Li Youran excitedly stepped forward and hugged Sibo Shinshua for a circle, and then put her on the ground and looked at her with a sunny smile on his face, and Sibo Shinshua was also startled by Li Youran's sudden action, and his white cheeks instantly turned red. After the last time Li Youran helped her block the flying ball, this is the second time that the two have been so close to contact. The last time was an emergency, and this time is completely different. Sibo Shinshua's breathing is a little disordered, but looking at the charming smile in front of him, Sibo Shinshua slowly suppressed the throbbing in his heart. If you are a leisurely student you will definitely be able to. I will always cheer for Youran. Calming her shyness, Sibo Shinshua looked at Li Youran's excited look. I don't know why, watching him regain his usual confidence, she was even happier than Li Youran, and at the same time opened her mouth to encourage. By the stream of the dusk stadium, two shadows continued to lengthen until there was a reminder from the driver of Sibo Shinshua, and it was late for the two to react. Youran-san, I'm going back first. Sibo Shinshua glanced over there and then said sweetly to Li Youran, you can just call me by my name, call me like that, I'm not used to it. Although it is a politeness to use honorifics, not to mention that Sibo Shinshua is that everyone has understood etiquette since he was a child, but Li Youran is a native of Yan country and he is a little unaccustomed to this title, which may also be the reason why he pulled into the relationship through this matter. Then I'll call you Xiaoyu. Sibo Shinshua thought about it when he heard this, and then said with a sly expression, Can I change one? Li Youran was a little speechless when he heard this. This name is too girly, right? Hearing this, the corners of Li Youran's eyebrows couldn't help twitching. Nope, yes, don't call me Sibo-san, my family calls me Xiaoxua. I'll go back first, see you tomorrow. Sibo Shinshua stuck out his tongue mischievously and then turned to leave, and Li Youran looked helplessly when he saw this. See you tomorrow. After seeing her get in the car and leave, she smiled unconsciously and said to herself, then he patted his clothes and left the stadium to go home. After returning home, Li leisurely sorted out the planned shot and tried it a little, but did not play football, just simply tested with movements. Although he did not try it yet but felt surprisingly comfortable, it's much easier than using power shots as the lead. I decided decided to try again tomorrow when I went to school to see the effect, and if I wanted to show the power of shooting I still had to be guarded to be sure, although I was a little sorry for Moriyama, but I can only find him to test the ball now. Episode 47. The next day Li leisurely went to school as usual, and after the end of the day's classes, all the members of the football club went to the football stadium to practice. Even if it was almost a holiday, the team's training did not fall behind. On the contrary, because the holiday is about to come there can be more time to practice, so everyone is practicing more vigorously, and after all the basic training, the internal confrontation match is carried out as usual, and it is still Li Youran and Jun Masugi who lead all the substitutes against all the starters. Captain. A teammate in the distance kicked the ball and Jun Masugi perfectly controlled the passing football, then took the ball and attacked quickly using his skillful ball control skills to continuously break through the defense of Minoruhama Kendo Yoshida and Ryuichi Sano to the opposing defender line. Li Youran also relied on his keen sense of attack threw off the defenders, quickly occupied an effective shooting position pressed into the box. Masugi Jun's vision was quite wide and he captured Li Youran's position for the first time. Yuran-kun. Jun Sansuji made a long pass with a big foot, kicking the ball under his feet into the air, seemingly a bold long pass, but he controlled it to see the benefits and fell in the direction where Li Youran was. Here it comes, give it a try here. Li Youran darkened, a fine light flashed in his pupils, his attention was completely concentrated, his toes were lightly picked and the falling football went too forward and the football fell on the grass and bounced up slightly just one position away from Li Youran. Li Youran lifted his foot. The spikes in front of the spikes rubbed through the grass, leaving traces like paw prints on the grass. With the action of swinging the legs, the blades of grass flew apart and the shooting action was completely different. The right foot was raised high, the left foot supported the entire body with one foot and the upper body was almost attached to the ground. The player standing directly in front of Li Youran can see the shirt number exposed behind Li Youran. Such an action arc not only tests the flexibility of the body, but also tests the player's sense of balance. This is after Jun Sansuji passed the ball out. He stared at Li Youran and found that his shooting action changed and a surprised color appeared in his eyes. He knows that Li Youran has been researching new shots and has tried many times in the confrontation before, but the effect has not been satisfactory. But I don't know why this time I see it, but I feel that it will be successful. Go ahead. Looking at the other players who rushed over to make up for the defense, Li Youran did not waste time looking for the most correct feeling, falling with his big feet and using all his strength to kick the ball out. Bang! The sneakers touched the football, the ankle collided heavily with the football, everyone seemed to hear the cannonball. The football under Li Youran's feet instantly broke through the air, turned into a long rainbow straight to the goal. Just entered the penalty area at this time, so there was still some distance from the goal. But this ball was so fast that it was impossible to react, and on the back line the two players who were going to pounce to stop Li Youran arrived one after another, but they were still one step late, feeling the football passing by them and a stream of air blew pain in their cheeks. It seems that there is a temperature in this airflow giving people the feeling that the football seems to be burned. How come? So fast. Poof. Woo! In the blink of an eye the football pierced straight through the goal and Moriyama Mion, who was standing in front of the gate, still maintained a goal guarding posture. His eyes still looked sluggish ahead, his pupils were constantly dilated and he could only hear the friction of the ball turning into the net. The frightened voice in his mouth was speechless and it was difficult for Li Youran to shoot before, but at least sometimes he could react. But this time he didn't react at all and he didn't have time to act. What a wonderful shot, everyone reacted, and Jun Sansuji came to Li Youran's side and spoke. It's still in the trial stage though, the power has indeed improved a lot, far above the power shot, and the movement is much smoother than the new shot that I came up with before, and the premonition power can be improved. Of course you must also perfect the movement. In such a short period of time it is already very powerful to be able to have such an improvement. Jun Masugi is not an impatient person. He saw the potential of this shot, just created it to have such power, and if it could be truly perfected he was sure that he would definitely not lose to Hinata's tiger shot. In terms of power, you must know that in terms of shooting power Hinata can be said to be the first in the island country. The other team members have also reacted now, and they have come forward to express their amazement at Li Youran's new shot, and at the same time everyone also feels that this time with Li Youran joining the chances of defeating Mange have greatly increased. Li Youran's progress gave everyone a lot of encouragement, and in the next game everyone was like playing chicken blood because for them Li Youran couldn't be alone in progress. In the past, because of Jun Sansuji's physical condition he could not play the whole game and they all hated their lack of strength, causing Jun Sansuji to drag his sick body to the field, but they still failed to win the game. This feeling is a very uncomfortable thing, but now Li Youran joined saw hope and shocked their morale. Well, that's it for today's match. Everyone worked hard. Hard work. After the game was over everyone gathered and Jun Masugi stood in front of everyone and said gratefully everyone trained so hard, in fact a large part of it was for him as a captain, so he was very grateful in his heart. And as the captain he sometimes doesn't know how to respond to the players even if it is training with them, because his training time cannot be too long. In addition, the holidays are coming soon. I have discussed with the school during the holidays, we can still use the school court. I will make a training plan and it will be sent to everyone at that time. It has been said in advance that I will come to practice during the holidays so everyone is not surprised. Yay. In fact, for everyone, training is hard, but also happy there was no objection, and after announcing the final matter, Jun Masugi asked everyone to disband, and Li Youran found Jun Masugi alone. Episode 48. Senior Sansuji, I have something I want to talk to you about. When everyone dispersed and was about to take a shower and change clothes to go home, Li Youran found Jun Sansuji alone on the court. Jun Sansuji was the captain, but under the court he was still directly called Sansagun. Is there something wrong with Yuran-kun? Jun Masugi was talking to Yayoi Aoba about some team affairs, and when he heard Li Youran say that something was wrong, Jun Masugi was still more concerned. Well, I probably won't be able to practice with you during the holidays. I know that I need to hone my understanding when I join the team, but I want to finish my shots before the holidays are over, so I want to be able to practice alone. In the club it is basically team training, and it is really not good to apply for training in such a situation. After all, the team is still a team battle, and no matter how powerful a person is, it is difficult to stand alone. Musashi Kuni itself is the best example except for Jun Masugi. The other members are really not outstanding, in the national junior competition that is about to start Nange, except for the Big Air Wing, but a large number of people were selected for the team, although except for the Big Air Wing and Ishizaki there are no starting members. If Genzo Hayashi is the starting goalkeeper, he is not Nange's person. Of course other teams have selected reserve members, but Nange accounts for the majority. In fact, it also makes sense. The average of ordinary members of Nange is indeed the average of ordinary members of other teams. In other words, other teams need more teamwork than Nange. The holiday time is a good opportunity to hone the team's tacit understanding. He chooses to practice by himself is indeed a bit abrupt if it is not for the task requirements. To be honest, he is more willing to practice in the team, but the task requirements are too strict. If you practice in the team, the progress will be much slower. Is that so? Jun Masugi listened to Li Youran's intentions, and also pinched his chin and thought while Aoba Yayoi watched from behind without disturbing. Although she is the team manager, she doesn't really know football, so she doesn't have much say, and even if she does, she knows that she shouldn't say anything more at this time. Alright, I know, but don't be too reluctant alone. If Li Youran helps, just look for me. Masugi-chan thought for a while and finally agreed to Li Youran's idea with a smile. In fact, although he has a good temper, he may not necessarily agree to it if it is someone else, but he treats Li Youran differently than others. After seeing Li Youran show his previous shots, he realized that in the limited time he had joined the team, he saw the speed at which Li Youran grew, which was really amazing, and the power of that shot was also evaluated by him as a shot that had the ability to be comparable to Hinata's shot. If they can finish that shot, it will definitely be a big killer for them to win the game this time, and it is worth sacrificing a little time to run in the team at the beginning of the game. The intensity of the game will not be so great and there is time to run the team. That's why he will promise Li Youran. The only thing he is worried about is that Li Youran is too hard alone. After all, many times one more person to help will always be twice the result with half the effort, but he knows that Li Youran is a real genius. Geniuses have their own pride, and even he is no exception. When he cannot ask for help from others, he is absolutely reluctant to ask for help from others, so he only said that he could find him if he needed help and did not directly ask if he wanted to help. Okay, thanks. Li Youran said thank you after hearing the sound, and then left, and after Masugi Jun and Aoba Yayoi watched Li Youran leave, Aoba Yayoi spoke. Chen, you are really optimistic about Yuranjin. Yes, I've never met someone so talented, and I'm sure he'll be able to lead our team to victory. Huh? Is Yuranjin really that powerful? Is he more talented than you and Tsubasa? Hearing this, Aoba Yayoi couldn't help but be surprised. She had never heard Jun Masugi praise a person so much, and Jun Masugi did not object. Yes. I've never seen someone so talented. It's like improving every day. Every day gives people a strange feeling. That's what my heart tells me. Jun Masugi put his hand on his chest and said lightly, this is a feeling in his heart. Not only that, but he is also a little looking forward to what Li Youran's shot will look like after the completion of the goal. Maybe this game can surprise everyone. Unfortunately, he can't play as a representative team. If he can this time in the world, the odds will be much greater. Speaking of this, it is a little regrettable. The more excellent Li Youran is, the more regretful this feeling is for Jun Masugi. The purpose of this selection is to select the representative team to participate in the World Junior Championship representing every country, but unfortunately, Li Youran is not an island countryman and cannot represent the island country. You always like to worry about these things. The time is almost up. It's time for you to go to the hospital now. You should worry about your body. Aoba Yayoi glanced at the time and couldn't help but say, Jun Masugi is a very responsible person, although this time it is a tryout, but he has already decided to join the team. Whether it is the identity of assistant coach or the identity of the player, he will inevitably go before he takes office. He is already thinking about your representative team. Although Aoba Yayoi is helpless, she also knows that this is Jun Masugi, which is why since elementary school she has already secretly agreed. I know, let's go. Jun Masugi also nodded. Although his heart disease does not recur often, but he goes to the hospital every day and also does rehabilitation training, so although he can't do much in football, but in fact rehabilitation is more arduous than football training, and many athletes cannot recover to peak state because they cannot withstand the hard rehabilitation process after injury. And he, as many years as he played, he did rehabilitation for as many years, and what is more painful is that someone else's rehabilitation can see hope, but he can't see hope. Episode 49. finally ushered in the time for the holiday. No matter which country, the holiday always makes the students happy. All the students went home happily. Li leisurely rinsed a simple rinse and changed clothes and walked out of the football club to the school gate. Xiaoyu. At this time, a clear voice suddenly sounded. Originally the voice was very good, but when I heard the name I almost tripped over. Huh? Why haven't you come home yet? It must be Sibo Shinshue who will call him that, although it is a little helpless, but she doesn't care too much. But they stayed to practice late. She should have gone back a long time ago. It's a holiday and the community has some things to pack up. This way. Are you guys finished training? The two walked outside chatting about the sky, and the two figures appeared very harmonious at dusk. Just finished. Li Youran was still thinking about how to make his shots better, and he didn't pay too much attention to the problem of Sibo Shinshue. You guys are on vacation, will you continue to come to school to train? She didn't pay attention to it before, but now because of Li Youran she pays a lot of attention to this aspect. I heard that the school football team will soon participate in the rookie league. Presumably she will train during the holiday. Still fugue. So can I come over and watch you practice once in a while? Yes, that one, yes. However, I have my own training plan during the holidays, so I will not come to school. Hearing this, Li Youran finally came to his senses a little, listening to Sibo Shinshue's words and responding this way. Hearing this, Sibo Shinshue finally knew that Li Youran was completely out of the state just now, but she was not angry. It's just a little disappointed. If you practice alone, of course you don't want to be disturbed by others, and the atmosphere fell silent for a while. Sibo Shinshue glanced up. Su breeze blew slightly. Li Yuran's slightly long hair was still wet. It was obvious that he had just washed his hair and had not yet dried. Xiaoyu, if you take a shower after sweating and don't dry your hair, it's easy to catch a cold. Can you not call me Xiaoyu? Although it may be useless to say this, Li Youran still can't help but want to say that this title is too biased towards girls. Nope, come, please use this if you can. Sibo Shinshue responded playfully. Immediately he took out a handkerchief from his backpack and handed it to Li Youran. Thank you. Looking at the white handkerchief in front of him, Li Youran thought to himself, this is not suitable for wiping hair, right? But looking at her serious look, she is embarrassed and unappreciative. Thanked and took the handkerchief, but in fact it is not really used to wipe hair. After all, handkerchiefs are close to girls and it is really inappropriate to wipe hair. But Sibo Shinshue looked at him seriously, so that he didn't know what to do for a while, wipe or not. This is a problem. Wow. At this time, there was a sudden sound of coaxing, and the two turned to look at the same time. After hearing the sound, I saw that Minoru Hama, Ryuichi Sano, Mion Moriyama, and others in the football club had not yet returned home, and they were huddled together and looked at the two with ambiguous faces. Yuranjin, don't be stunned, don't live up to the kindness of Sibo. Ha ha ha. Hama, Minoru and several people were coaxing, and Li Youran was suddenly speechless. You guys are so idle, just stay and practice. Li Youran was also a little unnatural to be looked at by several people with such ambiguous eyes. Although the two lives were people, but in the previous life they were also focused on football, rarely touching the affairs of men and women, and immediately shouted at the few people who were booing. Let's go, see you tomorrow. Seeing this, several people hurriedly scattered and rode away on bicycles, not knowing that Li Youran would not practice with them tomorrow, and deliberately used the name of Sibo Shinshue just now to tease him before leaving. Seeing this, Li Youran was even more bun black line. These guys. Hey, you have a good relationship. Listening to the fact that they also called Li Youran Xiaoyu just now, Sibo Shinshue also felt funny but still maintained the image and just chuckled. Yes, thank you for your blessing. Now everyone knows that my name is Xiaoyu. Li Youran responded a little helplessly, but I did agree with her words. Although it was not long since I came to Musashi, it seems that because of football everyone's relationship is easily closer. Hehe, what does it matter how nice Xiaoyu is? I'll go first see Xiaoyu when school starts. After speaking, it was already at the school gate. Sibo Shinshue trotted towards the school gate. Li Youran looked helpless and funny, watched her get into the car and unconsciously smiled. See you Xiaoyu when school starts. After the separate meeting, Li leisurely came to the door and jogged home as usual because he had basically completed the new shot, so he was in a good mood and he was going to start his own copy of Hell tomorrow, and he must get up early in order to be able to finish it early. This time the vacation is 15 days, so you have to complete an average of 6,666 times a day, which is easier said than throwing 20,000 balls a day. You must plan the time well, otherwise if you can't finish it by the deadline it's not good. Although it can't be done, you can still perfect this shot yourself, but you can't get the reward of the system, which must be the most regrettable. Come on, no matter how hard it is, I accept the challenge. Lying on the bed and making up his mind, Li Youran went to bed early. Early the next morning, Li Youran woke up very early but did not start the task at the first time because the task was to determine the shooting action and then use this shot to complete 10 W times, and if the kick was changed during the period it was not counted. Li Youran got up at 5 o'clock in the morning. It was not until 12 noon that the shooting action was completed, which was already the best that could be done at present, and Li Youran was the fastest and most powerful and coordinated state of action, and Li Youran officially began the task. Episode 50. At the beginning of the task, Li leisurely tried to use a new shot in the mission. The number of shots has begun to be calculated. A morning of adjustment. I feel that this shot has reached the most perfect state that can be achieved at present, and the current state is already a very satisfactory result. And this kind of power is already stronger than the shooting power of any legendary star in the previous life. After all, it is a two-dimensional world setting, not to mention anything else. Just talking about shooting this kind of power can already kick the legendary stars of the previous life. It may not reach the power of movies like Shaolin football, but to be honest, according to the setting of this world, it is actually similar to Shaolin football in the later stage. After starting to practice, I felt that this task was more difficult than expected, because if there was a slight deviation in the shooting action, it would be judged that it was not this shot. That is, every shot must be made just right. This is a test of their own physical fitness. With the increase of the number of training, the consumption of physical strength, it is difficult to ensure the stability of the shooting action and the shooting action, which is also a great test for the spirit. From 12 o'clock at noon to 11 o'clock at night, eating and resting for half an hour in between nearly 12 hours of practice, Li Youran felt a little overwhelmed, and when it was time to rest, his feet felt that he couldn't lift up. Because this kind of training is different from ordinary shooting, the stronger the shot, the greater the burden. Naturally, each ball is kicked out with all its strength, and the physical strength consumed is not light, but Li Youran still gritted his teeth and insisted. In the end, Li Jimei couldn't stand it. Li Jimei, who usually almost didn't care what Li Youran wanted to do, finally couldn't bear it when she saw her son working so hard, and her mother, who never entered the court, personally entered the stadium and forced Li Youran to stop. Seeing his mother's insistence, Li Youran couldn't help. Even if he wanted to continue, his spirit was almost unstable, and he didn't want to move after taking a bath and lying on the bed. But even like this, Li Youran only completed 3,400 shots this day, only half of the original plan. The reason is because some of them were calculated by the system not to belong to this shot, although not much, but it did reduce some. And the second is that the mission did not start this morning, it was only started at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. If he practices until 12 o'clock, he should be able to play about 100 balls, although it is not much, but it is already the limit of his physical exertion. After all, when it comes to playing like this, there is not much physical strength. It's a pity that although Li Jimei is usually a gentle housewife, she is relatively strict in terms of the health and safety of her children, and she resolutely does not let Li Youran continue to practice, and Li Youran can't help but complaining. In fact, lying in bed almost less than 5 minutes, has fallen asleep. Anyway, the class still slept very soundly, and the next morning, Li Youran got up at 5 o'clock, and after a simple breakfast, he went to the court to do a warm-up exercise on the court and continued to practice. Early in the morning, many people in the manor were attracted by the bang of football, and some nanny maids unconsciously looked over, secretly saying in their hearts that this little young master is really hardworking, only practiced all day last night and today is getting up early in the morning to practice. Do you say that the young master can eat well when he practices his body so much? That's it, it's also too hard. Many servants whispered outside the stadium, a little worried that Li Youran's body would not be able to eat. This kid is really... At about 6 o'clock, Li Tiannan and his wife also got up early, and when they came, they heard from the servants that Li Youran woke up at 5 o'clock and had already come to practice, and Li Jimei looked at the court a little worried. Just let him be, this kid has his own ideas. You will say follow him. If you practice like this, how can your body eat well? Li Jimei listened to her husband and gave her husband a blank look, as if to say, feelings are not the flesh that falls from your body. Some things are to be done while you are young. We don't lack anything. You can't even deprive him of his only hobby, right? After chatting with Li Youran that night, Li Tiannan as a father knew that his son really liked football, and the Li family did not lack anything, so let him go all out to pursue his dreams. Alas, Li Jimei listened and knew what to say. After all, her own child since he began to play football has indeed been much more cheerful. In the past, Li Youran lacked enthusiasm and was not cheerful, and his personality was introverted and sensible. Although every parent wants their child to be sensible, it makes her feel less fulfilled as a mother. In the end, under Li Tiannan's appeasement, Li Jimei didn't say anything more, but she still had a bottom line. For example, at noon, she would also force Li Youran to rest and eat, but Li Youran was also solved in a hurry, and the whole person seemed to go crazy. I practiced continuously until 11 o'clock at night and was forced to rest by Li Jimei again, but today's task was much better than yesterday's, and today I practiced a total of more than 5,000 balls, which added up to more than 9,000 goals with yesterday's one. It is a good progress for Li Youran, and the main problem today, in addition to being forced to rest by Li Jimei at some times, is the problem of physical strength. Physical exertion, the interval between shots is larger, and the old problem is serious physical exertion, shooting action deformation problems, but these are all time problems. After being in the state of physical limit for a long time, you will gradually get used to this state, and by that time, even if the physical exertion is huge, you can still maintain an accurate posture. Li Youran is not worried that the body will not be able to eat or will squeeze the potential, since the task will be given. It means that it is within the limit. It should not affect the body, and the physical limit of this world cannot be compared with his previous world. Day 3. Bang. At 5 o'clock in the morning at the lakeside football field, a crisp sound sounded in the morning sky, alarming the birds on the telephone pole, and I saw a teenager standing on the dilapidated lakeside court playing, which was already very dilapidated and remote, and almost no one came to it.